Hello, everyone. This is Fred down in Central Florida, and just sitting here waiting on the storm. I'm prepared as I can be, so just trying to make it through it. But while I was waiting, I was thinking about a great subject that I wanted to discuss tonight. Um, and I have a guest with me tonight, Aisha from Tennessee. Can you say hi, Aisha?
Hi, everyone.
And so our subject tonight is keeping it simple. And it's related to relationships. And so I was thinking about how, when you first meet someone and you are new into a relationship and how you're doing all these wonderful things and you can do no wrong, you just, you don't hold anything back. You're just trying to impress this person, and some things you do that it's not sustainable, but you do them because you really want to impress this person. And so that's what we want to dive into tonight is about, keeping it simple. And so I wanted to ask Aisha a few questions tonight, um, concerning relationships. uh, so Aisha, what do you think about, this guy, you've been talking to, and now you guys have entered into a relationship and everything is great. He's, holding the door and doing all these wonderful things. Do you think, in the back of your mind, like, is he going to be able to continue this?
No, I don't think that, but I am aware that, in the beginning, people will try and impress you. And so, I mean, it's something that may or may not continue, but it's not in the back of my mind like, oh, he's not like this. But I mean, it's a known, I guess, that there are some things that a guy will do in the beginning that won't continue later on. It's just a matter of time. You have to know the person and see what's real and what's, him trying to impress you.
Okay. So what are some things that, you would say is simple, but yet, they're nice and um, they make you smile or they make you happy. So, what are some things that, a guy can do that is, just something simple? It's not like he's not doing anything and he's not doing too much, but kind of in between there. So, just simple.
I mean, I guess I think it changes whoever the individual is. I think that a person being themselves, that goes a long way. Um, Personally, just because of the time that we're in, picking up the phone and scheduling a date or a conversation, um, is simple. It's simple enough, but it's not done a lot now because we're in the age where it's the thing to do. Um, so simple, I think, with picking up the phone, being yourself, and I don't know, are flowers considered simple? Personally, I love flowers, but I don't know if that's considered simple. But those three things, in my opinion.
Okay, that's great. So, now to a guy, it may be, just me texting you saying, hi, how are you today? That's keeping it simple versus me calling you and, being on the phone with you for long periods of time.
Maybe, but that takes like what, maybe 2 seconds out of your day to just send a text message. You don't get to hear someone's tone of voice when when they actually say, "Hey, how are you?" or "Good morning." You just have a text message with no tone. And when you're getting to know somebody, I mean, you really don't know what the tone is behind it.
Okay. Okay. So keeping it simple does not mean uh, compromising as far as, not, doing what's due, or, if that's the right thing to say, but just basically, it doesn't mean you don't put forth an effort. And,
Right.
and I think that, when I think about keeping it simple, I mean, just it's the little things that, we tend to forget about, or we overlook. For example, like if I'm in a store and there's no special occasion or anything, going on or whatever, and I see something, and it's not anything expensive, but it's thoughtful, and it just reminds me of you. And I think for me that's keeping it simple, because now it's more personable, but it doesn't necessarily have to be expensive. And I think that that's keeping it simple. Like, you know, if you live with someone and maybe you leave the house before they leave the house, and just a little note next to, on the nightstand, just saying, have a nice day or something, or, I love you, or, something that doesn't require you spending a lot of money, but just, something that is heartfelt. So what are your thoughts on that, Aisha?
I mean, I agree with that. I mean, but then say this though, if you go into the store and you know the person loves cookies, don't send them cookies. Then you're gonna be like, oh, they're gaining weight. What's going on? Yeah, stop sending those cookies. But definitely, it doesn't have to cost anything, or it could be simple and cheap. I mean, that works. A little note.
Okay, okay. And I think that we live in a world where everybody wants to impress. And like for myself, as far as me receiving something, I would just like something that, you've been listening to me or whatever, and you heard me, and then that the greatest thing is like some something unexpected, and it's like it's something I have been talking to you about, and you surprise me with it, you
Right.
know and um or just a little, note or letter, just expressing your thoughts or whatever. And I think, people being in relationships, sometimes you forget, it's just the simple things, and we get caught up in, like, I gotta buy this, expensive purse, which I know women love the purses and things, but um I mean, it when you do it's the little simple things that add up. And because at the end of the day, when relationships fail, it's because somebody has forgot about the simple things, the little things, um, that make a relationship great. It's not the big things. It's not, going out and buying a car, because material things won't keep a person, or make a person. They're temporary things that make people happy, but at the end of the
Won't
day,
sustain. Yeah, it won't
yeah,
sustain the.
right. And so it's those. Um, I remember one time getting a card that I didn't know what it said. It was in Japanese or something. So it was written as something I didn't even know, but when I found out what it was, I was happy. I was like, so it was different, even though I didn't understand it. I couldn't interpret it. But when I found out and what it meant, then I was happy about it, because I
Mm,
was like,
sure, it's what
so
it meant.
Yeah. And so it's, it was a card. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't like there was a pair of Jordans sitting next to the bed, or but it was a card, and it was heartfelt. So yeah, so keeping it simple. I mean, if we all could do that, and just like chivalry. A lot of people don't, guys, we're like, "Psh, man, get your own door," or whatever. And maybe that's not our attitude, but that's the way we do. It's like, well, she can open the door or whatever. But those things like that, just opening the door, that means a lot. And for a woman,
Yeah, it
somebody,
makes you feel like a lady.
yeah, and and it doesn't require a lot. So it's simple, but you gotta be willing to, put in the time and effort, to do it. And so Aisha, let me ask you this. So going back to, if you got there's this guy that's doing all these things, right? But the relationship is new, so you don't know what it's gonna be a year from now, 2 years from now. You don't know what what it's gonna be like. But in the moment in time that you're in, are you happy and satisfied with what it is at that time? And if a year from now it continues, then great. So are you, or do you, in the back of your mind, you're like, you really want to know, like, okay, are you going to be able to keep this up? I'm happy with you right now with the things that you're doing, but is this just something that you're doing right now? So what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, there's some things that will reveal itself over time, but I mean, you're just doing things that are over the top. I kind of feel like women know that. And I mean, if we're being practical, some things aren't going to continue. But I mean, I'll say that I do think that it's like the simple stuff. Like, if you're holding the door, like a year or two from now, why are you not holding the door? So, I mean, does take a lot of effort. Um, but I don't think, like, if you're constantly buying me things, I don't think that that's gonna last. If you're gonna, be on the phone with me for hours, that's not gonna last. Like, let's be realistic. But just the smaller things. I mean, holding
So
a conversation is, being able to resolve issues. I think that's more important than what gifts a person is, giving you.
right. So good conversation. Would you classify that as being simple?
That is simple. I mean, it might not be simple early on, but I think that conversation is important. When you might not like a person at, a certain moment, but if you have a conversation about something and get past it, I mean, it can get you through a lot of things.
Okay. So why do you think that, if that's something that's simple, why is it that it's not sustainable?
Life gets in the way, people irritate you. I mean, it's something that has to be worked on. Sometimes if you're working on, you come home or you get off, you don't want to have a conversation. You just want to be quiet and just be in your mood. I mean, it's just anything.
But you do understand, like, when it's in the early relationship, is in the early stages, how you can't get enough of each other. You just want to talk. You want to see them. What 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 happens to those little simple things? That
That's
it
not
was it.
simple. That's not,
But what?
see, that's
Listen,
not,
it wasn't. It wasn't complex. It was. It was the little things that made you. You know, I just want to see you. I just want to. I want to hear your voice. Those things to me are
that's,
like simple. Those
that's newness.
they're not
Yes.
complicated. They're simple. What?
That's
So
newness.
you
That's not sustainable.
okay? So it's newness, but okay, but it's simple.
It's simple, yes.
If I
Um,
want to hear your voice, I'm not. You know, I want to hear your voice. I want to know what you're thinking. Um, why can't that be sustainable?
that's not sustainable because when you've been with someone for a while, you don't want to know what they're thinking because now they tell you all the time what they're thinking. You're like, I don't even want to know. I already know. So I mean, when you're getting to know someone, it's like, okay, fine, but after a while, you kind of, you know, and you kind of know what they're thinking, and it's not sustainable.
So you're telling me a year from now, 2 years from now, that a person can't be like, I love to hear your voice. I don't need to hear your voice every minute of the day, but when I do hear from you, and I see, your name pop up on my phone or whatever, you're telling me a year from now that still can't exist.
No, I'm saying that can still exist, but will you still have those same long conversations? Probably not.
So the long conversations that's like the icing on the cake. But at least the communication is still there.
Yeah, I think that still, yeah.
Okay. So, we can go on and on because this is a great subject. And but all good things have to come to an end at some point. But yeah, so we just want to sum it up tonight, keeping it simple. And yeah, so that's the point of the podcast was basically to say, that we as humans and being in relationships with one another, a lot of times we miss it because we are looking at the big things instead of the little things, the simple things, the things that when I met you, I did or whatever. And now, because I've been with you, I feel like you don't need that anymore. That doesn't make you happy anymore. So just stand, as they say, going back to the basics, to the foundation. What was it that I did? To get you, or for you to take interest in me. What was those things? And you know, sometimes you may not be able to, as Aisha was saying, you may not have these long conversations and stuff, but being able to go back to the basics that, hey, if the communication is kind of ceased or whatever, or it's not where it needs to be, going back and just revisiting, okay, we always have been able to communicate, and due to life, we may not be able to communicate for hours on top of hours, but we still need to have a healthy balance of communication. So with that, I want to let Aisha have the last sayings tonight, and we're gonna go ahead and finish this podcast tonight. So Aisha,
No, I think you ended it well. But I will say, don't let Instagram or social media fool you into thinking that you have to do all these grand things in order to sustain your relationships. Simple works just fine.
oh my God, Aisha, I couldn't have said it any better. So with that, we're gonna say good night, and we appreciate you listening. Now, bye.
Good night.